question a little bit, maybe not about wealth, but maybe it is, and maybe even business. You said something that's really been resonating with me, where you said that someone cannot go in a state where they are taking more from others than is correct, or they can also not be in this altruistic state where they are giving too much. Both cannot be sustainable. And this is fascinating because people create narratives in their lives and in their brains that the billionaires are stealing from us over and over again for 20 years. Or this person, all they do is give. Mother Teresa just gave, and she never asked for a single thing.
Well, I could tell you another story about Mother Teresa.
Yeah, I know there's a few people out there that have written books about her, or maybe you knew her as well.
Well, I had the opportunity to work with two ladies that were with her 3 and 6 months a year, and they brought videos of what they actually did. It's really quite interesting.
I assume. So talk to me about these extremes, because most people live in one or the other. You know, this is a completely benevolent person, and these people are just always taking, and that's
Delusioned.
why they're... Right, okay.
There's no hero, there's no villain.
Neither one is sustainable, is what you're saying.
No,
as a human, it can't be.
I mean, look at all the heroes that have fallen in the last decade, two decades. You know, Oscar Pistorius and Lance Armstrong and Bill Cosby and the people that we thought were... I tell people, do not be fooled by facades. Nietzsche warned against this, Machiavelli warned against this, Hegel warned against this. They've all said that. Plato tried to warn
and yet
people.
We continue to buy into it.
They just keep running the story because the amygdala uses false positives and makes heroes or villains.
Right.
That's the amygdala. Anytime you see a person that you think, an individual, that's a persona, not a true, an individual means an undivided being. A persona is a mask you wear. And you live that mask out and you think, oh my God, and they'll fool you. But how many people have been fooled by people that thought they were one side and then they found out the other side? I have a fun story. I was speaking in India, and there's about 3,700 people there. And on the second day, I was getting ready to speak again. And the guy that was promoting this asked me to come and have breakfast with him before they went off to the walk across to the convention center. So the night before, he gave me a book from one of his gurus. So he had a guru that he really looked up to. And in India, you see a lot of this. You see people, honoring gurus. And he gave me this book, and I speed read, so I scanned that book that night. Most of it was Vedantic teachings that I had studied from other writings from many others. And, but it was well written. It was clean Vedantic teachings. So I had nothing to say other than his book was well written, and it was classical Vedantic teachings, and great. He said, well, but here's the real deal. He's really enlightened, and he exaggerates it. And I go to meet him for breakfast. I get there 5 minutes before he does, and on the newspaper, front page of the newspapers, plural, was his guru. Scandal, sex issues, right? Rape, sex with younger girls, tax evasion. They nailed the guy. So I pulled up a couple of those newspapers. We got a thing, and I unfolded them, and I said, is this the guy you were giving me the book last night? And he just went shocked. He couldn't even speak because he had given himself permission to think this guy was the positive without the negative. I tell people, don't be fooled by facades. And when people come up to me and they think I'm special or I'm more aware or whatever, I'll fart on them. I'll do something to get that down, because that's an umbilical cord looking for a place to plug into. I don't want that. It's a burden. And they'll eventually flip on you and go the other direction.
Right.
So
is that a response so you don't have to be present with yourself? Is part of that putting someone on a pedestal? I mean, you described it.
Well, you'll minimize yourself. Anytime you put somebody on a pedestal, you're going to minimize yourself.
Okay.
And then you're going to inject their values. You're going to try to live in their values. Then you're going to beat yourself up because I can't live up to them. They're enlightened. I'm not. What's wrong with me? And then you sacrifice altruistically to give to them. And they'll clean up. They'll clean up. I know a girl that's a billionaire. He cleans up. And people are falling for it. They fall for the illusion that this person's special. And I try to teach people that whatever you see in others, you have inside you, but you're too humble to admit it. Let's go find it. And I've had people actually do that. I had 750 Indians on a breakthrough, 755 on a breakthrough, and I asked them to take the people you admire most, and probably a third of them were their gurus. And I said, now go find out what you admire most and let's own it 100% until it's equal. And it took about quite a few hours.
Investment Club. Today, I consider it the best investment that I've ever made. We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs. Personally, I'm completely blown away by the quality of these projects, and I know of nowhere else where I would be given this same opportunity. Each week that passes, I feel more appreciative of the fact that I'm a member of this group. The vibe was just tremendous. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical, magical. Take action. Don't take my word for it. Due diligence you need to do. And I really hope that someday down the road I see you in the club. It far exceeded expectations, without question.
But when they did, they took the guy off the pedestal and re-empowered themselves. I call it owning the traits of the greats. Because if you put people on pedestals, you'll put yourself in a pit. And if you put people in a pit, you'll put yourself in a pedestal. And both pedestal and pits are not you. You're neither of those. You're a synthesis, an undivided being, not a polarized individual. Okay. The real you is magnificent, and there's a thing called a moral licensing effect. A moral licensing effect says anytime you do something you're proud of, you give yourself permission to do something you're ashamed of. Anytime you do something ashamed of, you give yourself permission to do something you're proud of. So if you go out and really work out and get your shape and abs and thing, you go out and eat more chocolate, eat more food, and pig out. And then you go out and pig out, and then you go, oh, I better go work out tomorrow. So you get in this yo-yo cycle of the moral licensing effect in order to homeostate you back into your authentic self. But you as a proud person is not you. That's a facade, a persona, an imposter temporarily that you're wearing that is going to be humbled and depurposed, brought back down into authenticity. And your spouse, their job, when you're cocky, is to bring you back down. And if you're down, their job is to lift you up. The purpose of marriage is not happiness. The purpose of marriage is authenticity. To teach people how to own the parts they've been disowning, and they marry their disowned parts to make them face it.
Okay. What did you do with the guy's guru? How did that all process?
Well, it took him more than that day to process that. I didn't get to work with him that day. I was speaking.
Right.
But that next night, I got to work with him some. After we had dinner.
Okay.
And he finished his facade, and he kept quiet about his guru. He didn't bring it up to anybody. And he got a chance at lunch to read some of the articles. And he just realized how gullible he was. And he says, well, who am I to believe right now? I said, your true self. The Sat Guru is you. You're the guru. You are you. You are the guru inside. Don't blame somebody or give credit to somebody outside. Because the second you make them enlightened, you know, I try to shadow this idea of enlightenment. We live on a little planet, okay? It's around roughly 24,000 miles around, 8,000 miles in diameter. It's spinning, and it takes about a day to go around, right? About an hour, 1,000 miles. And we're one astronomical unit, 93 million miles away from the sun. So if we're sitting on the sun and looking, we can't even see the Earth. So if there's a guy on there that's an enlightened, says, I'm enlightened, I am enlightened, I am enlightened. To the sun, it's like, boop, it's not even there. Poof, it's dust. Now, from the sun, we're 26 to 27,000 light years away. 186,000 miles a second times 86,400 seconds a day times 365 days times 26,000. That's how far that's away, okay? Now, from the center of the Milky Way, looking at our sun, it's non-discernible because of the gas and dust. And we can't see the planet. So we're enlightened relative to what? Relative to the infinite cosmos, we're an infinitesimal in our awareness. Relative to the Planck's dimension, 1 times 10 to the negative 33rd centimeters, we're like a god. So we're right at the border between an infinitesimal and an infinite. And one is to exaggerate us and one is to minimize us, to keep us authentic. So we're sitting in the middle of the infinite micro and infinite macro to keep us authentic, to humble us and to aggrandize us. And so when somebody aggrandizes themselves and thinks they're all enlightened, they haven't learned what Socrates tried to warn. He says, whatever you know, it's an infinitesimal compared to what's unknown. And whatever's unknown is always greater than what's known. So it's a relative term, a relative awareness relative to the areas that I'm focused on. I'm relatively aware in an area of human behavior. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology and cars and sports. Things that are low on my values, I'm an idiot. Things that are high on my values, I'm relatively aware. And that's why Einstein said, live with holy curiosity. just keep growing and keep learning.
Okay.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.